How many times do you plan to destroy and rebuild your own
franchise? Again and again and again.
Once again, I am sacrificing Silk Song time for your entertainment.
I am once again asking...
Y'all best be grateful. Y'all best be grateful. Ciao all, Thomas here. Today we're here to talk again about the Winx Club reboot. Initially, I was gonna wait until the Netflix drop, but like, you know.
Hide the money, y'all! There's poor people around!
I don't know, y'all seem to really like me recapping the first episode, and I've gotten a lot of requests to continue that for the rest of the season, so why not? You know, it might be a good chance to discuss the critiques and issues with the show, potentially one or two areas where they did decently, compare and contrast between the different versions, take shots at Rainbow for being a terrible company that treats its animators like shit. I've been doing like research recently for an updated video on like the history of the Winx franchise. And so me and also a lot of folks in my server have been like digging into Eugenio's Trophy interviews. And this man, oh girl, there are so many points recently where he contradicts himself when the show came out initially. Like back then he was like, you know, there aren't enough action adventure shows, especially in animation, for girls. They're all for boys. And now he's saying shit like media is like too focused on female characters and not enough on male protagonists. Media's too woke. I'm so tired. I am so tired. The audacity to complain about wokeness when you literally hired gay fashion designers to design fairies for your show. Like literally. Oh my God. Wow. The gumption. Gumptionix. Anyhow, episode 2. Let's do it, because it's not getting any better after episode 1. So last time on Dragon Ball Z, if you don't recall, because 5 million things happened, Bloom discovered she's a fairy and went to Althea with Stella and Flora. She met all of her roommates, but no one has figured out where the fridge is yet, and Aisha needs her food pronto, lest she keep glitch cartwheeling into oblivion.
Aisha, Fairy of Waves. You'll see my name on the food in the fridge.
Farragonda and Griffin both hate the Winx. The Tricks are obsessed with Bloom. Icy is fighting her lesbianism.
You can't catch me, gay thoughts.
Damien exists and is determined to de-wokify the Winx by becoming the main protagonist, a male, in a show meant for girls. Okay, sure. Whatever. Loser. I'm also going to be referring to my notes that I took. I took notes on the whole season, so like if you want to see them, they're up on my Patreon for all tiers. I'm very in depth with my notes. I'm a very meticulous bitch. So we start off in Farragonda's office to yell at the girls once more for no reason whatsoever. Apparently it's because of all the magical creatures that Bloom let loose last time, which was a stupid move on her part. Now, I want to kind of specify this thing I've noticed about Althea, and I mentioned it a bit last time, where Farragonda's office is very like dark and cold. It doesn't feel cozy at all. Althea as a whole gives like wannabe dark academia. There's a lot of gloom and shadows everywhere with the harsh architecture. It feels more like a generic fantasy castle this time around, and I feel like that really robs Althea of its like its warmth, its feeling of safety, of coziness, and its uniqueness. And Farragonda especially, I think, suffers from this because in the original she was very strict, but you still felt very safe around her. She was very caring, kind presence, you know, almost like a fairy godmother, what have you. Whereas this Farragonda just kind of gives generic fantasy headmaster, like with a lot of secrets and could potentially endanger our lives. And also, she just kind of gives us she don't give a shit about us.
Did you put your name into the goblet of fire, Harry? Dumbledore asked calmly.
Harry! I protest!
Harry, you put your name in a goblet of fire.
No, sir.
She's lecturing Bloom about what she did, and she's like, the question is not what you did, Bloom, but was it for the right reasons?
The question is not what you did, Bloom, but was it for the right reasons? I guess.
And I'm like, okay, so are you referring to like her freeing the sheep rabbit AI things from like their collars? Or are you referring to like going after them through the portal to Gardenia? The distinction is very important because one of those things is causing the problem and then the other thing is fixing the problem. And also the reason part confuses me because I don't think the motivation in either case is the problem here. Like that would suggest Bloom had some selfish ulterior motive that was driving her to do the stupid thing, which it wasn't that was the problem. It was the fact that she acted without consulting anybody, without actual knowledge of what these creatures were or why they had the collars in the first place. She was just really impulsive and did a thing without knowing any of the context. And it just kind of also rings hollow because this isn't really a lesson that she has to learn for the rest of the reboot. It's not like Bloom has to like learn more about situations before jumping into them and making conclusions. This is just kind of a one-time thing, so it feels very hollow. It feels like an attempt to cover their asses. Like, we didn't make Bloom a perfect Mary Sue, even though they really did. So anyway, Bloom was nervous because there's a ceremony coming up where she and a bunch of other students, they're going to sort them into like fairies and witches. It's like the sorting hat, but there's no hat. It's just Farragana and Griffin staring at you like you just jaywalked.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
I mean, they weren't really specific on like what made a fairy or a witch in the original, so I guess I don't really mind this. I think it's just kind of odd that you don't get to choose because there was kind of a suggestion that you could in the original, specifically through characters like Murda, who, you know, started a witch, didn't really fit in, and then later became a fairy, transitioned, you might say.
It's that trans magic loser, Murta!
She claims to be a fairy who just happened to be born into a witch's body.
There's nothing better than being a girl.
But the important thing here is that Bloom is terrified of being a witch because witches are bad. The show said so.
There's a chance that I'm a witch?
Farragana's like, you must discover your true nature, and I'm afraid there isn't much time. And I'm like, what do you mean there isn't much time? Like what's the ticking clock here?
You must discover your true nature, and I'm afraid there isn't much time.
Why are we saying this? This feels like unnecessary pressure.
And I'm afraid there isn't much time.
So the Bloom being a witch thing, it kind of runs through the whole episode, and it really frustrates me because Winx Club has always had this issue with what do with witches. You know, it's this thing a lot of media do where they just sort you into like good or evil binaries, and it's not about like who you are, what you do. It's like what you are. Like good and evil are inherent to certain types of people, which is really gross. Like in the original, at least in the first 3 seasons, there was a suggestion that witches could be good, like through Griffin, or whenever the witches, you know, work together with the fairies to like save the day from the tricks or from Valtor. But even then, it wasn't that great, and it only got worse as time went on. And now it seems like the show is really determined to stick with witches being inherently bad, which makes me wonder why we have a school with them. The others aren't helping either because, like, they're not like, oh, we'll accept and love you even if you're a witch, or like, you might be a witch, but you'll still be a good person. They are like, no, you're for sure a fairy.
Apparently, I could be a witch. You have nothing to worry about.
That's right. We know a fairy when we see one.
Which makes me wonder, if she was a witch, what would y'all's reaction be? Because I don't think it would be a good one. You know, I really would have liked Bloom being a witch. I mean, it's so obvious she'll be a fairy because, like, hello, it's Winx Club, Bloom's a fairy, and all the promo material and the intro show her off in her fairy form with the big wings. So, not really a question there. But I think Bloom being a witch could have been like a seriously interesting change to the story. It could have forced Bloom to like unpack a lot of prejudices that she brings with her to the magic dimension, potentially the prejudices of the fairies of the Winx Club and of Althea. And I think especially if Bloom always wanted to be a fairy, but then she winds up being a witch, I think that would also be interesting where Bloom is learning like, okay, so this isn't the fantasy I always wanted, but this is my life now. I'm gonna roll with it. That would be so cool. And I think Bloom as a witch would also kind of eat, but sadly that's not the road that we're going down because witches are bad. So said Eugenio Straffi. I wonder if he saw Charmed and just really didn't like it. The Tricks are going to use this to their advantage. Is this their dorm? I think this is their dorm. I don't know. It looks like a common area. Okay. I guess I kind of like the lime-colored cauldron of evil sitting there in the background. It's very witchy. I guess that means they don't have to, you know, go get takeout because they can just cook their dinner in the cauldron in the dorm. Oh God, now we get to the classroom scene. God help us all. So Bloom enters and Aisha's like, you need to find a seat, Bloom.
You need to find a seat, Bloom.
Oh my God, it sounds like an NPC telling you what your player objective is. Okay, so there's this weird thing with the passage of time that doesn't make sense in the reboot where, like, not only will time of day randomly change inexplicably, but also classes only happen for like 2 minutes. And I don't mean the scene itself is 2 minutes. That was a thing in the original show. But what I mean is, like, in universe, it is literally only 2 minutes. So like in the original, whenever we would see a class, usually we would start in the middle of class and then it would end as the scene ends, or the class would start but then the scene would end before the class finished. So that way, class never was actually in universe how long the scene was. Because if it was, that would really disrupt your sense of disbelief. The reboot doesn't really understand that nuance, so it'll just have the class start, they'll talk, 2 minutes pass, class ends.
Come on, it's time for your first class.
You know, it's one of those very subtle things that, like, you don't really notice unless you're paying attention to it, but I notice it because, like, it as a writer, it peeves me. It peeves me. WizGiz looks horrifying. He looks like he belongs on a demented cereal box to traumatize children.
Oh my God! What is that?
Another case of, damn, these designs are hard to translate into 3D, especially when our art direction is non-existent. Why did he look better in Lost Kingdom? Someone tell me. Why did everyone look better in Lost Kingdom? Probably because it looked more like Winx. And humans actually made it. Anyway, so there's this thing in class where they're learning to, like, I don't know, do symbiosis, whatever. They have this little dog that they turn into a cat. And I'm like, where did we get this dog from? This dog looks very scared. Like, is this someone's pet? Especially because, like, at the end of class, they just kind of leave it behind. And I'm like, who owns this cat? Did y'all just, like, pluck it from the street? Did you just abduct it for your experiments?
Hey, Joey, do you want to eat me?
No thanks, Mr. Muffin.
But I want to die.
So anyway, we're turning the dog into a cat. We're turning it into 2 cats. We're doing a bunch of things. It looks really bad.
Alina Spaduro!
Why won't you let me die?
We have a bunch of sparkles, but there's no, like, flashing effect or animation to show this dog actually, like, changing forms. All that's happening is that the models are switching out in a frame and the sparkles aren't even, like, covering up anything, which is not how that should be animated, and it looks really unprofessional and embarrassing. And it's Bloom's turn to go, and Icy does this thing where she, like, fucks with her magic with this weird sigil thing. They don't explain it, and they didn't establish it beforehand, so I have no clue what this is, and yeah, I don't know.
I think it's time to give her a little taste of witch magic.
I'm like, is this an Icy specific thing, or is this thing anyone can do? Because if it is, I would assume that there'd be a name for it, and other people would know it and recognize it, but they don't? Okay, whatever. The point is that Bloom is under the influence of this weird sigil thing, and her power kind of turns the dog into this huge, ugly beast. So everyone is really scared of Bloom. The Trix's goal is to, like, make Bloom think she's going to be a witch so that she'll, like, leave Althea and be vulnerable so they can snatch her power up. So they're taking advantage of her prejudices. Which, you know, okay. Oh yeah, also the bell ringing. Can we please stop with the bell ringing? Like, I love the 4Kids dub, but the bell ringing is also in there. I don't remember if it's in the Cinelume dub. I don't think it is, but like, okay, admittedly, maybe some colleges have this, but usually college classes like don't operate on like period to period things the way high schools do, where high schools tend to have like these 8 or 9 blocks through the day and classes are all in those blocks. College classes tend to be a bit more, you know, at least in my understanding, spread out a little less like across the board. So a bell system really wouldn't work for that. And yet it's here because why not? Okay, sure. Whizgiz has this moment where he's like, I'm not Mr. Whizgiz, I'm Professor Whizgiz.
I'm sorry, Mr. Whizgiz.
Professor Whizgiz.
He's an asshole.
And I'm just like, ugh. I don't know. There's this weird like callousness or like passive meanness to a lot of the characters in this version that I just don't like. It kind of makes the universe feel casually cruel in a way that I really don't like. I think especially because not only does it feel unnecessary and mean and makes me not want to be in this version of the Winx world, but it also feels like it's only there to make Bloom appear more like a sweet cinnamon roll. Like, oh no, she's so nice and she's being so mistreated and just everyone's being mean to her. And I'm just like, please fuck off. We go to meet Sky. Sky is here at Althea and he is wearing 2 jackets. Both of them are ugly, but somehow the 2 jackets are not the most confusing part here. So Sky casually drops that sometimes specialists take classes at Althea.
Do you go to school here too?
Sometimes we take classes here. No spells, just stuff like history of magics. Anyway.
Which confuses me. Like, why? What's the point of that? Like, Red Fountain is another campus that's like, as far as we know in the original, I don't know about the reboot. The reboot seems like it's even further away, but it's still a healthy distance. So it seems impractical to me to have specialists also be going here in addition to like fairies and witches. And also additionally weird because specialists take classes at Althea supplementally, but fairies don't have to do that with Red Fountain? What? I mean, realistically, it's only here because it's just easier to have all the characters go to the same school so they can have run-ins like this. That's why Fate did it with all of the classes, like the fairies, the witches, the specialists, all being condensed into Althea. It makes it easier, and also it's cheaper because it's only one location. But I'm also kind of thinking mayhaps it's a similar thing with the witches, where ChatGPT didn't realize they all went to different schools, and it accidentally put the specialists in Althea, and then they just covered it up afterwards. Look, girl, I have no faith in this fucking company, okay? Let me have this.
How's your first day?
I'm looking forward to my second.
Oh.
Brandon tries to distract Sky from heterosexuality. He throws a football and it moves in a way football should not move. That's not how footballs work. Like it's toppling over itself in the air, but footballs don't do that. I don't play sports. I don't watch sports. Even I know that's not how they work. Like, you know, a football spins. You know, that's the point, because it has the 2 pointy bits and then like the curve in the middle. Like, it's supposed to spiral, not topple.
Once you get that football spinning and drag and gravity are acting on it, the spin stabilizes it. What matters with the football is that it's pointing along that long axis of the football. You want to think of that as a nice solid rod that's not going to move unless there's enough torque on it.
Sky plays fetch to get Brandon to leave him the hell alone, and he just throws the football either over the school or up onto the roof.
Just think of it as God telling Frank to go deep.
It's insane. What the hell kind of arm strength does this man have? And Brandon doesn't even complain about it. He just goes for it. And I'm like, is Brandon just going to like scale the rooftops to get this football? Oh, good Lord. And then we have a white woman jump scare with Diospro. Good Lord.
Hey. I'm Diospro.
Ew!
God told
Diospro
to drive into a wall at 80 miles an hour.
So I've compared Diospro to Dolly Parton in this case, and I think it's the hair. The hair looks disgusting. It looks like it's crusted over from layers and layers and layers of hairspray. For the record, I love Dolly Parton, so I don't mean any offense to her. It's just the first thing that came to mind. She looks horrible. She looks like a failed country singer.
Sweet
Sky, how do you know Bloomer?
And she really emphasizes this problem with a lot of the characters where they don't look like they belong from the same show. Just their face shapes and their proportions and their eye shapes. Like the styles don't even feel cohesive. Everybody looks like they're from different shows and their models were just ripped out and just thrown into here. Like even characters like Damien, one of my friends pointed out, like his shading is completely different from Bloom's, where Damien looks like he has actual shadows interacting with his hair and Bloom's hair does not. It's a lot softer and it's very distracting. So Sky and Diaspora are openly dating. And there's no plot about Sky changing his identities with Brandon. There's no hiding him being a prince. Sky and Diaspora are just dating.
It's our 7.5-month anniversary.
I don't think they're engaged, but yeah, okay, sure, whatever. We need conflict. The thing is, I'm not sure why they're together because Sky clearly hates Diaspro. That's clear as the show goes on. He's clearly more into Bloom, and yet he's still with Diaspro. And there's no reason given why. Like in the original, it was kind of clear that it was an arranged marriage pressured by Sky's father, and Sky was like too cowardly to fight back. But like there's nothing here like that. So what it gives is that Sky is with someone he dislikes, which makes me dislike him. And it also makes it shittier when he like is leading on Bloom, because it's like, dude, just date her. Like nothing's holding you to this other girl. There's no excuse for this. And it feels like they just kind of amplified Diaspro being unlikable and mean and stupid to make us root for the cheating, which feels so gross and lazy. Like, no, if you want to do this kind of plot, make it messy and make it gray. Don't do this stupid shit, because now I'm like looking at Sky like he's the bad guy, because I mean he is. They just break up. Just fucking break up. Also, fuck y'all for confirming that Boba exists in the magic dimension. I will have your heads on spikes. Bloom is also just casually talking to the Tricks, and they're like offering her like advice of this room of mirrors that could like tell her whether she's a fairy or a witch.
There's a room of reflection in the West Tower. It's got the same magic the teachers use for the witch fairy test. You can check anytime.
And I'm just like, why are we listening to the Tricks? They've already like fucked us over multiple times at this point. I say we just ignore them.
That was a pretty mean trick you played on me yesterday.
A funny trick between sisters. It's a witch tradition.
I'm not a witch.
So anyway, we go to the Winx dorm, and there's this bit where we try to have the Winx have a bit of conflict with all their stuff in the room. Whose stuff goes in which corner. It's proving to me once more how much I despise the open concept, but whatever.
Stella, can you move that mountain of boxes? There's no room in my nook.
It's my shoe collection. Why don't you move your treadmill?
Uncomfortable with argument.
I mean, I kind of like the Winx stepping on each other's toes as they're getting to know each other and setting up their space. But I think here it's just done so poorly that I can't get into it. Because it's mostly just for Bloom to try and get them to get along.
You're impossible.
You're impossible, Rar. Don't you even!
There's this really bad Family Guy-esque cutaway where Aisha's like, that's not really my thing. And then 2 seconds later, they're all like fake laughing.
I don't know if that's really my thing.
It's really bad. It gives insincere to the max. So the girls are like, I don't know, partying or whatever. Techna's like, I programmed the lights, to which I ask, girl, what lights? Show me the ceiling. Bloom is like, I've always wanted to try popcorn. And I'm like, what?
I've always wanted to try popcorn.
You're from Earth. What the hell do you mean you've never tried popcorn? Like, wouldn't this be a thing where like she hasn't tried magical dimension food and like introduces Earth food to the other girls? Like they want to know what popcorn is, so she tries to make it, not her not knowing what popcorn is. Cut to OG Bloom eating popcorn with her parents at the movies, like an icon.
I've always wanted to try popcorn.
Flashback.
Loser.
But the point is, Bloom uses her magic to try and pop the popcorn. The weird sigil Icy put on her is still there, and it makes her fire go out of control. Aisha puts it out with her magic.
Protection of waves! Protection of waves!
It's really bad too, because when the water hits them all, if you look closely, you'll see that the girls don't get wet when the water hits them. At the end of the shot, they're all dry. And then in the next shot, one frame later, they're soaking wet. There's no animation of them like getting drenched in their hair, falling, and the water soaking them in their clothes. They just snap from dry to soaked. And there's also this thing where Musa and Stella are holding cups in one shot, in one frame, and then the next the cups are gone? What the fuck? Did no one check this while rendering? Oh my god, like what are y'all doing to the animators? Animators, blink twice if you need saving. So now, because of that, everybody hates Bloom, and Bloom's really sad and upset.
Everybody hates Grace.
And she stays on the couch to like doom and gloom, like a bloom. I don't know.
How do you know, Bloomer?
The moon is very bright. It's actually insane.
It's big and round and very bright tonight.
So anyway, Bloom decides to listen to what Icy said and go to check out this mirror room or whatever. It just looks like an abandoned room. It's giving like a storage closet, like a glorified storage closet. There are a bunch of mirrors. It's kind of obvious that the Tricks lied about this one because the lore doesn't make any sense. They're like the first magic users came here to like find out if they were fairies or witches.
The first magic users came here to find out if they were witches or fairies.
And I was like, why would they need to figure that out? Why would they know they need to figure that out? If they were the first magic users, why would Althea already exist? And why would this mirror already exist? But I guess the Tricks lying about it makes that not a problem, I guess. I don't know.
How do I...
Lord, I'm having a heart attack.
Is this my future?
Anyway, Bloom sees a vision of herself smiling evilly, floating over Althea. It's really badly animated. And she's like killing everybody, including her friends, with the fire.
Bloom, no! Bloom, why are you doing this?
Thank God.
And so she decides, oh, I need to leave to like a really sad montage, a really bad song. I'm sorry, this song, I don't like this song.
Under the starry sky with the moon as my guide, I feel the call of the heart.
But forget the song. So Bloom is having flashbacks to like memories with the girls.
It's the warmth of my nest.
And it's like, it doesn't hit at all because we don't know these girls. They're not friends. We just met them. We just got here. And you want us to be upset that she's already leaving? It's like they took the episode 18 plot from the original where she goes home and gets her power stolen and they just kind of plopped it here. And I'm like, why in the hell would you do that? And also, as she's leaving, it's night. But then all of a sudden, when she's out in the courtyard, it's day. Like, there's no transition to it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Also, what's the point of leaving under the cover of night if it's immediately day?
I heard she set fire to her dorm.
I know. Totally witch material.
So Bloom goes to talk to the Tricks and is like, send me back to Gardenia in a portal, please God. And Icy's like, I got you, bitch.
If that's what you want.
Since I'm going to be a witch.
Why we're still trusting Icy, I have no idea. I think Bloom might just be an idiot. Blycey fans, I'm going to hold your hand as I say this. You deserve better. I know the fan fictions that you read and write are better than this because they're made with love. Stand up. Stand up. Oh yeah, there's also this bit where Bloom is flashing back again and she's in the courtyard, but then she flashes back to when she first arrives at Elvia in episode 1. And for a second I was like confused because there was no visual indicator that it was a flashback. God, this is edited so badly. What the fuck is this? So anyway, Bloom gets back to Gardenia and what follows feels, I was going to say like a fever dream, but the whole reboot has already kind of felt like that. But this is just so stupid. So it wasn't ever really specified whether or not Bloom was currently in school or like the school year was going on before she got to Althea. But she ends up at high school, like at Gardenia High, in the middle of a school day. And nobody thinks that's weird. Like in episode 1, they just casually mention Bloom has already been at Elphia for like 3 days.
You've been here 3 days and you already set off what could turn into a huge disaster?
So she's been gone for at least, I would say, a school week. And she just suddenly shows up here in the middle of the day and nobody thinks that's odd. Like no students, no teachers, no faculty, nobody. And I'm like, does no one... Would no one notice this?
Oh, look who it is. Ew!
Bloom goes to her locker, checks her schedule. I'm gonna assume the school year was already going on, so okay, whatever.
Chemistry in room 219. Excellent.
But she gets to the classroom for chemistry. Firstly, it don't look like a chem class. It's so weird. The room is empty. Nobody's there. And then the Tricks show up and reveal this was all their plan to like get Bloom alone to get her power. So what you're telling me is the Tricks knew her schedule for Gardenia High School on Earth in advance and somehow managed to clear out this class, make sure no teacher or student would show up, and also move all the furniture and lab tables out of the way so that they could, get Bloom. How? How does any of that make sense?
No big deal. We just want to steal your power!
I'm like, did they bribe everyone to not come? Did they murder them all? What's happening?
Stop it!
Let me think about that. Okay, I thought about it. No.
The Tricks are terrible shots. They can't hit Bloom, even in a tiny room, even when it's clear which way she's running.
Where do you think you're going?
Even at one point, she's like sitting in one spot and they're all just shooting around her. What the hell? Did y'all go to Stormtrooper school? Robin shows up, Farrakhan's assistant. Remember, she's pointless. She shows up on her little hover bike outside the window and she uses this tool to like dissolve the window. It doesn't break it, it just kind of like dematerializes it. And on the one hand, that's cool, but on the other hand, I feel like that should have been established beforehand to make it less whiplash-inducing, but also she just leaves her hover bike outside, and I thought from last episode we needed to hide magic on Earth. So how are we getting away with the Tricks, clearing out this whole classroom, making sure no one was here, also like shooting the shit out of everything, throwing lightning and ice and darkness everywhere. Nobody hears a thing, but also there's a floating hover bike outside the window of the school and no one like outside or in another classroom sees it. Make that make sense. My friend mentioned to me this idea when we were talking about the reboot in general and like commiserating, where in this case, Robin being a specialist, it feels kind of hollow. She's the only female specialist here, and it feels especially hollow with the lack of boy fairies. What would have been a bit better was maybe Robin being a witch and proving that there are good witches. Like a witch who comes to save Bloom from the Tricks, I think would have done a lot to assuage Bloom's fears of potentially being one, and would have actually proven what Flora said last episode of not all witches being bad.
I think what Stella means is, not all witches are bad.
Flashback.
Witches are annoying and mean and drawn to the dark. Boo!
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
But what the fuck do I know?
Ooh, what do I know?
So anyway, Bloom like uses her fire magic. The Tricks try to steal it, but they fail.
Can't turn it off!
Bloom's powers go out of control. The fire alarm goes off. The fire department just immediately appears.
Icy, we gotta go!
Immediately!
It doesn't take them like a few minutes to get there. They just are there. They just appear. Well, I say appear. We can't actually like animate fire trucks showing up. So instead what we do is we show the exterior of the building in red and blue lights to suggest fire trucks. And the Tricks open a portal and take their sweet time escaping. Mike and his crew just are in the school suddenly, and, you know, they put out the fire around Bloom. There's no animation again of Bloom, like, being drenched from the fire hose. She just is drenched.
Bloom?
We go home to Mike and Vanessa's, and they're like, yeah, we knew you were magical. Give us some credit, girl. We're not idiots, even though I think everyone here is an idiot, but okay.
When we signed the admission forms for Althea, they turned into glowing butterflies and flew,
Into a portal? That's what that was. Anyway, Bloom.
This just feels like so underwhelming, and this feels like an arbitrary thing. This in the original was a whole thing where Bloom went back to Gardenia for, like, I think spring break or whatever. It was a little holiday. It was a time for her to, like, take a break from Althea and go back home in the middle of the season to show how much she's changed just from, like, spending half a year at Althea, and also to bond with her parents, and of course for the reveal that she's adopted, and also she doesn't come from Earth. And it was a big deal. It was a very emotional deal. It was so wonderfully written. I mean, I prefer the 4Kids version where, like, Bloom already knows that she's adopted, but I feel like both versions do a really great job at endearing you to Bloom and her family, of making this moment hit with its emotional weight, of how Mike and Vanessa love Bloom and she is their daughter, even if they're not related by blood. Even if she might not be from Earth, she is still their daughter.
Bloom, we've loved you from the very start. We could never stop loving you.
Sweetheart, we love you so very much.
I love you too, and to me, you'll always be the best parents in the world.
Here, there's no chance for there to be emotional weight because never mind the fact we're not getting those revelations, but we just don't know these characters well enough. We don't know Bloom well enough. We certainly don't know her parents, like, at all.
I don't know if I'm a fairy or a witch. What I really want is to be my normal self again.
But this is your normal self.
It just feels so undercooked and unemotional and unengaging. And it's made even more awkward by Robin just kind of hanging there like a weird chaperone, just dead-eyed, staring off into space. I'm like, man, this is a private moment. Get out of here. For real, I wish someone would just ask Bloom what's so wrong with being a witch. Like, I wish someone would ask her it. We get the iconic line, we know this isn't easy, but hard things never are.
We know this isn't easy, but hard things never are.
Oh my God. So the Winx also just randomly show up in a portal mid-conversation, and I'm like, what?
You really think so?
We know so.
First of all, Stella finishes their sentence while they're talking, and I'm like, does that mean, like, they're hearing the conversation here before they open the portal to get here? That feels weird and kind of like eavesdropping, kind of icky. But I think mainly I'm just like, okay, so Stella and Flora are, like, the only ones close enough to Bloom to even consider as acquaintances, not friends, acquaintances, because they hardly know each other at all. But I have no idea why Musa, Tekna, and Aisha here. They've barely mattered. They've barely done anything so far. They have no reason to care about Bloom whatsoever. Like, Tekna is just kind of checked out as the other girls are talking to Bloom. She looks like she's being possessed, or like she's seeing God in the refrigerator.
From now on, please tell us if something's bothering you.
Aisha's probably thinking of stealing this refrigerator to bring back to their dorm so she can put her food with her name on it in the fridge. Aisha's like, we really miss you, Bloom. And I'm like, that is a fake ass smile if I've ever seen one, Aisha.
You've only been with us a few days, but we really miss you, Bloom.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She is as fake as press-on nails. Hey, baby girl.
So anyway, we go back to Althea or whatever. We have the ceremony. Bloom's like, oh my God, what if I'm a witch? Stella's like, that's so not happening.
What if they say I'm a witch?
That is so not happening.
And I imagine Flora is muttering to herself, because if you are, I got my handgun ready.
Not all witches are bad.
Look, the tone of the episode, the way they treat witches, I'm so tired. I mean, really, it's not a mystery. It's so obvious because, like, fairies dress normally with brighter colors, look cute. Witches have, like, hoodies and wear black or whatever.
Fairy.
Witch.
Duh!
There's, like, no exception to this. Like, whoever you think is going to be a fairy is a fairy. Whoever you think is a witch is a witch. And I'm just like, shouldn't this be a chance to, like, okay, if this must be for children, why are we not teaching kids, like, don't judge a book by its cover? Just because you think someone is something doesn't mean that they are. Like, you can't judge someone based on what they wear or how you perceive them. You know, there could be fairies who, like, dress like goths or witches who like being cute. But no, fuck that, I guess. Anyway, Bloom's a fairy. No one's fucking surprised. Damien's also going for this. I'm not sure why he's been on this campus if he's not been, like, taking classes. Okay, has he just been, like, living in the reserve and, like, no one has done anything about it because they're so scared of how ugly he is? Is it like a Quasimodo situation? Like, what's happening? Anyway, Damien is, like, clearly really excited at the idea of being a fairy.
Yet the potential for light.
But, like, because of the one drop rule of ick and racism, he has a little bit of darkness, so he's a warlock.
But since any presence of darkness tips the scales in your favor...
Warlock. Huh? Let me know.
Not a witch. Witch sounds too gay and feminine, so he's a warlock. Even though there are male witches in the real world, but okay, sure, all right. And this, I'm quietly like, if Damien doesn't become a fairy, I'm gonna throw something out of a window. And I'm also just getting frustrated because Griffin is like, apparently there was an attack on a fairy on Earth. And I'm like, why are you not doing anything about this?
Apparently there was another attack on a fairy on Earth. Do you know anything about this?
Her and Farragonda both. It's like, Robin saw the tricks. She knows it was them. Bloom can testify it was them. They openly said, we're going to steal your power, and tried to. Why is no one doing anything about it? Especially because Farragonda and Griffin kind of know from jump that Bloom has the dragon flame. They already know. So why is this not a big deal? We learn later on that, like, the tricks are basically adopted daughters or something of Griffin. She only mentions it once, and there's not really any further elaboration. It doesn't really matter any further than that, which frustrates me because that sounds like it'd be so good for character work, but whatever.
I welcomed you when no one wanted you. I raised you as if you were my own daughters. I covered for you even when I shouldn't have.
And I'm like, okay, so maybe it's nepotism. Like, the tricks are basically the headmistress's daughter, so they can get away with whatever they want. But I think someone would have mentioned that by now, and I feel like that would be a bigger deal, but it's not. We're just kind of letting the tricks run roughshod over the school and terrorize Bloom and the other girls, because why not? Oh my god, this is so frustrating. This whole episode should really just be called Fuck Witches, for real. You know, this episode, I don't think it's as, like, aneurysm inducing as the first episode. I mean, it's still incoherent as fuck, but I think it's just more boring and annoying because it takes all the worst qualities of the original show and just kind of amplifies them while removing any of the good stuff that used to be there. I think this could have been a really interesting chance to have Bloom actually be a witch and explore what that could mean and really break down our misconceptions of witches. And it just wasn't. This was a lot of nothing. And in the end, Bloom is a fairy and witches are icky and you shouldn't want to be one. Really, really frustrating and disappointing. But what else can we expect from Puke Bo?